You're listening to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast brave enough to tackle Andor's gut-punching finale with the same reckless emotional abandon that K2SO uses when volunteering supervisor Hurt's body as a shield, even though he's bulletproof. This week, we're diving headfirst into Andor Season 2, Episodes 10 through 12, a trifecta of heartbreak, rebellion, and the kind of soul-splintering moments that make you question if you've ever actually known peace. Mon Mothma deals with this by getting a terrible haircut. Luthen's thrown off his axis and is absolutely gutted by a surprise visit from Deirdre. And Cassian, well, let's just say rebellions are built on hope. You know, the kind your unborn bastard child will have every time it dreams of finally being united with its father whilst working in the wheat fields. This is a special episode, the kind you save in your playlist, the kind that lingers after the credits roll, because while the blasters may fall silent and the screens may go dark for a while, Rebellion, there's that damn word again, and rambling Star Wars podcasts always find a way back. So grab your Blue Bantha bourbon, your emergency cape, and maybe a few tissues, because tonight, from a certain point of view, we're not just breaking down the end of Andor.
Impressive. The elements that you worked into that were pretty great. Probably my favorite one is that Luthen was gutted. Oh, that's good stuff.
You wanted to write up, I wrote a write-up.
It was perfect. Apologies to our dear, sweet listeners that we have had a bit of a break between the last episode and this one. I had to head out of town right after the finale, so I didn't want to rush it and try to do an episode too quickly. So then we waited, and then I had other stuff come up. So Jay's been ready to rock. It's been me. But we're back. We're here.
We're back. We're back, baby.
Yeah. You can find our show from a certain point askew.com. You can find us on social media at FACPAPod. You can email us, FACPAPod@gmail.com, and you can leave us a voicemail at 678-FACPA77. What's on the show, Jay?
On the show, number one, the news. Ryan Reynolds' R-rated Star Wars, Spies Like Us, and another Kennedy succession plan update. Andor Season 2, 3 episodes, 10, 11, and 12. Make a stop. Who else knows? And Jedha, Kyber, Erso. Then we're going to go into the Andor giveaway. 2 emails in the FACPA mailbag and 1 voicemail in the FACPA answering machine. It could be a solid episode, people.
Full show.
You stay gone for a month and people start inquiring, or they just want to hear themselves. We'll find out. And, we're going to end the show with a communications disruption can only mean one thing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So, news. Yeah, apparently Ryan Reynolds was on a podcast recently and shared how he had pitched Disney on an R-rated Star Wars project. I'm guessing this is him coming off of Deadpool and being like, let's do something like that in Star Wars.
Right.
But it sounds like to soften the blow of it, or at least open their minds to it, he didn't want to touch any of the big name characters. You know, he wanted this to just kind of live in the Star Wars universe, but be some separate characters or smaller characters, something like that. Maybe we should reach out to Ryan about FACPA stories. Sounds like maybe there's a marriage there that could happen.
I think there's a world waiting for him to play with.
There is. He also was saying that kind of R-rated in a more dark tone, like Andor, more than like vulgar in
right.
shock. So
yeah,
a little more adult. And I guess he's also pretty self-aware because he said he wouldn't put himself in it, which I was like, that's probably where you lost him on the pitch.
Right, because he puts asses in seats, but also, his form of humor, I don't think, boy, you'd really have like a real like hard line between fans, wouldn't you? Well,
I think you could star him in the Taika Waititi project, and it would work great.
That would be very, very fitting. Yeah,
that would be a marriage. He said, quote, "I'm not saying I want to be in it. That would be a bad fit. Mm-hmm. I'd want to produce and write or be a part of behind the scenes."
This sounds like one of those things because he's just so well known, and like these actors and producers, they take meetings all the time with studios. Mm-hmm. Like, what's your idea? What do you think? And this is probably just one of those things. And he's just chatting on a podcast, and then it blows up as Ryan Reynolds episode 10.
Right, or like it really got that far.
Right,
it's probably him having one meeting and went, "What about this?" They went, "Nah. What else you got?" Back to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Would you want to see him in a Star Wars movie?
It would have to be specific. Like, I'm trying to think.
I think like, I
think he would exist like in a Skeleton Crew type show. Easier than he would Andor.
Or Lego Star Wars.
For sure.
Like that.
Yeah. Or it could even be like the Lego movie where like it goes into the live action shit where Will Ferrell's freaking out, but it's Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Right. That could totally work. But I think having him as a core character and like a proper Star Wars show would be tough.
Yeah, it'd have to be like if it had to be like written and directed by what's his name? Not Seth Rogen. Seth. Who's the Family Guy?
Oh, McFarlane?
Yeah.
Or as I like to call him, Peter Brady. I swear to God, he looks like an adult Peter Brady. It always freaks me out whenever I see Seth MacFarlane.
You think he does?
Oh, God, he looks
Peter
just
Brady.
like adult
okay.
Peter Brady. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it would be a little too jarring. As much as, I like Ryan Reynolds, but I just think it just would be a tough one it would be a tough one to sink into and be like, I believe this as a character.
If we went back 10 or 15 years, like Ryan Reynolds, grew the beard and wanted to be an actor, Ryan Reynolds.
Sure, yeah.
I completely buy that. Like, I think he'd be a fucking great villain.
He did that movie with Ben Mendelsohn, which I still haven't seen, but it's been on my list, that Mississippi Grind or whatever, where they're gamblers.
Right.
I want to see that. Or he could do the bodyguard's bodyguard, or not the hitman's bodyguard, or whatever it's called, with Samuel Jackson, right? Same thing. Mace Windu.
Yeah, he's Mace Windu's wife's bodyguard.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, we'll see. Doesn't look like it's happening. Okay, Spies Like Us. Yeah, so you shared this one with me. This is fascinating. Apparently there was a website called StarWarsWeb.net. What a fucking dumb name that is.
Uh-huh.
That sounds like a 1996 website if I've ever heard one. It was operated by the CIA as a covert way of communicating to some of their field agents online under the guise of a Star Wars fan site.
That's fucking nuts.
That is insane.
Well, there was one recently. Was it a documentary I seen? What was it where agents were communicating through it was like an iPhone poker game or something?
Oh yeah, like the chat room.
Yep.
Oh no, that was in what was that in? That was a show that we watched. Was it the Agency?
I haven't seen The Agency yet.
Okay, then it wasn't that. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I've seen that, yes. So it's definitely not far-fetched.
Right.
And apparently they were it wasn't just Star Wars. Like there were a lot of different ways they were doing this. But one of the sources that broke this story said, quote, "The simplest way to put it is, yes, the CIA absolutely had a Star Wars fan website with a secretly embedded communication system." So apparently the agents would go into the site and enter a password into the search bar, and it would take them to like some sort of secret login page and they get information.
Oh, no shit.
That doesn't sound secure at all. I like the fact that it's, on the sly and all, but I mean, come on. Some spies over in fucking Eastern Europe, like at an internet kiosk,
right,
going to a Star Wars website.
Well, it's really going to throw them off, when like you're on the chase and the killer comes in and he's looking. He doesn't quite know the face, but he's looking for like someone that looks like a field agent or something. And then there's this nerd in the corner on the Star Wars website, and you're oh, that ain't him. Just keep moving on.
Or it doesn't look like a Star Wars nerd, but they're on the Star Wars, nerd site, and they're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, right.
Well, finally, we've covered this so many times. It's hardly worth saying again. But Jeff Schneider was out there boasting about his crack reporting. So I'll share what you sent to me in DM earlier today. Per Jeff and only Jeff, I'm the only one who did this. I love when people do shit like that. I get it. That's how he makes his money. He said. Or he shared this. Lucasfilm seems likely to follow that path in replacing Kennedy, despite speculation about outside candidates, including Emma Watts from 20th Century Fox. Insiders say the company seems most likely to promote from within. I can't talk. The current thinking is a scenario where Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni and producer head Carrie Beck take co-head lead roles, which we've talked about before.
Yep.
And it says, but then there was a concern here that says the knock against Filoni, the George Lucas protege, is that he might be too steeped in Star Wars lore, and that risks steering shows into like this dense mythology that loses broader audiences. And somebody said, quote, "He's not the Andor guy, he's the Ahsoka guy." Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't imagine him doing Andor.
No, I couldn't either. Although I'd like to see a mixture of the two. Like I'd like to see like Dave Filoni's mythology in like that Andor, because the one thing that some of us think that's missing from Andor, which I think it's an absolutely stellar show and it's not missing anything, but if it could have anything more, it'd be like lightsaber fights and some more characters out there, right? That would be kind of fun to see.
Yeah, or some sort of small Jedi element to it, not overtaking
like
the show.
The merging of the two would be kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, and it says that this last bit was interesting. It said that they could mitigate this by having Kennedy being a producer on all these Star Wars projects, kind of make sure that he doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's going to be a tricky thing though. Like, how do you bring somebody in as the president and then she stays on as a producer and she's like, yeah, no, trust me, I know better.
Oh, and this has happened before. It's like when, they bring in the new person, but the old person's lingering around, and you're just like, well, so do I have the job or not? Because you're telling me I have the job, but yet they're still here, and they're the person that was my mentor or whatever, and I don't feel like I can fully make decisions here because you're still turning. Right. I say what I think we should do, and then you turn to Kennedy as like, but is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would feel a little bit awkward, I think. Well, we'll see. I mean, the Hollywood Reporter was reporting stuff on this too. There was a lot of stuff flying around about it. So, and it's what we expect. And I imagine we'll hear something on it in the next few months.
It seems to be the thing that they're doing lately. Like when we talked about it, the same with what they've done with DC. And isn't there another 2-party presidency like running around there?
DC is the one I know of. Is there another one?
Right. Yeah. Well, I know they're doing something similar. How do they, with Bond, it's going to be 2 producers and a head, and then there was someone, the way they're doing Harry Potter was kind of the same way. Even though like
Harry Potter?
Even though Warner Brothers is still like the end all be all to say, but the way that they're structuring things.
Right.
Yeah.
Shared responsibility and blame.
Right. Yeah.
Works out better. That's it for news. So we can get into Andor. As far as this final arc goes, I just went back and rewatched it. A couple things up top. One is it was really great having K2SO and his sass back in there because he's got a lot of great lines.
Yes.
There are so many funny things. The whole like gambling bit, that whole scene was so funny, and just him questioning breaking orders and all that. It plays so well into what we see in Rogue One.
I mean, the only sad part is we just heard that they spent $650 million on this show, and the only Disney note was take the fuck the Empire out. The only note. Yeah. So why wasn't he from the beginning? Yeah, we're going to do 12 fucking episodes with K2SO.
Well, he said that. He talked about it. He said it made more sense. I mean, it would have been if they did the season by season, but he said it made way more sense for him to come in later, not earlier.
I agree. But I like the character so much, I'm saying I want more. Yeah,
I agree with that. And we'll get into it more here in a minute, but props to Clea, Elizabeth Dulau, because I think she just fucking shines in this arc. And the way we get the backstory on Clea is just this incredibly loyal person and just has Luthen's back in every way. I thought kicking it off with that episode to kind of lay that down, even though it's later in the story, was a really cool way to build up to the art.
Also, just to see her feelings, I would argue that she wasn't the biggest fan of Luthen's.
No, he was there with his crew, was responsible for murdering all her people.
Yeah.
It's a tough way to meet.
It sure is.
Despite her first, impressions of him being how reluctant he was and how sad he was about the situation, you're still with the bad guys, So how I'm not going to fully trust you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she carried that with her.
Yeah, very much. It was fucking amazing to find out that she had never done. This is her first role.
Yeah, like there was something. I saw some article with her. And there was some other role she was working on, and then it got shut down because of COVID or something, and then it rolled right into this. But she's very, very new. She's like in her mid-20s. She's very new to acting, or at least to anything we would have seen. I think she did more like stage stuff and things like that. So let's start with episode 10, because that's the first one. We get this backstory of how they come together. You also, by the way, in this episode, there's a lot, because you get the backstory on them, you get the Luthen Lonnie scene, and you get the Luthen Dedra scene, all in this episode. Yeah. Fucking great. So we open on Coruscant, where Lonnie's called a meeting with Luthen. He picked up the bat phone that they hadn't used before. And he tells Luthen he got some intel that Dedra's putting together a team for an operation on Coruscant, and he's figuring it's to come after Luthen. So he's trying to give him a heads up.
You know it's serious when you meet Luthen outside in a park.
Yeah. I was like, is this the best spot, guys? Because every other time you were in like a dungeon.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Where he has control of the elevator. I'm done talking to you. Goodbye.
Yeah. So this is quite out in the open. I don't know. Lonnie's looking for a way out because he knows he's basically burned bridges, using that access code to Dedra's files, which is how he figured out that, what the Empire's up to, that the energy project is a cover for this super weapon. He shares, why they were on Gorman, stripping the planet of minerals, why they're on Jedha to find Kyber crystals, not insurgents like they're saying. And he even mentions Scarif. So he throws all this stuff out to Luthen. It was almost, the scene was like a miniature version of the Donald Sutherland, Kevin Costner scene in JFK, where he just, JFK, where he's just unloading all that information.
Mm-hmm.
And except for in this case, Kevin Costner didn't murder Donald Sutherland at the end of it.
Yeah, his best bet would have been like, I'll tell you all of this after you get me and my family off the planet.
I know, he spills the beans too early.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He didn't play that well. So when Luthen says, "Hey, I'll take you to Yavin," did you know right there? Like, oh, he's lying. Like, because Luthen was never.
I don't know if I knew like, oh, he's gonna murder this motherfucker right here in public, but I didn't think there was a chance that he was getting them off planet.
No, it seemed pretty obvious at that point.
Yeah.
After this conversation goes down, we see Luthen scatter off, and we realize that he put a bullet in Lonnie's chest, and he's discovered by this cute little loath cat named Pix.
Mm-hmm.
Meow. So Luthen gets back to Kleia and relays all these important bits to her, almost like bullet points. Gorman, Scarif, Kyber, Krennic, Erso. He's just like...
Well, to me, it was like he was making her recall those because if they never saw each other again, she had all of the information.
Right, it was because if you're going to give out these long drawn out sentences, it's going to be harder to retain. He's just going like, here are the bullets. Mm-hmm. Remember all these things. And that's what she kept doing to Cassian later. She just kept throwing out the words.
Yeah.
Super weapon based in Scarif, fuel from Gorman, Kyber from Jedha, ISB Krennic, Galen or so. He just kind of kept rattling these things off. So then he tells her to go to the safe house and he's going to go back to the gallery and burn all the evidence. She wants to do it because she's very protective of him. And he's like, I got you, fam. You need to go. Mm-hmm. And he says at that point, move. And which is a thing that when we do the flashback, he says to her as a little girl, when I tell you to move, move.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So kind of tied back to that. So then we get this fantastic scene because he goes back to the gallery and who's at the door? Knock, knock, Dedra. The subtext of this scene is fucking excellent.
Yes. It was just probably better than the initial scene with him and Mon Mothma.
Yes.
When they were dancing around words and everything. This one was just so specific and stabbing. Yes,
because Dedra asks, is everything real? And he says, at the moment, only 2 pieces of questionable providence in the gallery. Talking about us.
Care to take a guess, he says.
Yeah, right. Can you guess? Then he shows her that dagger. And when she asks if it's real, he says, we still don't know. The tension mounts. I love that. Fucking so good. She then finally reveals that she's got a piece for him. Mm-hmm. And it's a vintage Imperial Starpath unit. And she lays it down and she is just fucking like, fuck yeah, I got you, motherfucker.
How brilliant of that was it of him to, out of all the things he could have grabbed, I mean, knowing now, he grabbed that knife because he knew that was what he was using. And she didn't question it. She was so like stuck in her glory. Like, you motherfucker, you're going to revel in my victory. And then, hey, turn around. What are you doing over there?
Right. You had said before about how there was that piece of the gallery that was more of a masher.
Yeah,
you thought he was going to be killed by, but you weren't too far off.
No, he was handheld circumcision.
Apparently, the knife he was holding was tied to like the Kit Fisto people. So, cut through those abs. Mm-hmm. So Dedra is, I've been waiting for this moment, and she says, you disgust me, and how he's been like hiding in this peaceful place, causing all this havoc across the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's been in the mix a bit too. I think you're selling him short here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she does have a fair point because she says, when he says freedom scares you, she says, that's not what you want. You want chaos. She's not totally wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Because he definitely wants chaos. And that's what he's been trying to push for these entire 2 seasons. And I like how she says, she goes, you want to ruin the galaxy and run back to your gallery in your ridiculous wig.
Fucking just slaps him.
How many times in the mirror does she practice this?
Oh, I know. How many times did he practice his smile and look at himself in the mirror?
It's true. We saw those.
Yeah. She got me.
Do I have all my rings on?
Mm-hmm.
So despite being stuck, he tells her that, she's too late because essentially the rebellion has been let out of the bag and it's spreading everywhere now. And then another great line. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to disgust you. God, this writing is so good.
I know.
So just then she realizes that he's burning shit in the back room. She's like, oh, shit. And then little does she realize.
Your wigs are on fire.
Yeah, your wigs are on fire in the back. You only have one left, the one on your head. But as she realizes that and turns to tell him to say freeze, she's going to stun him. She realizes he's gone all fucking samurai on himself and stabbed himself in the stomach. Maybe should have done the throat. Would have been a surefire thing, but he goes stomach.
Yeah.
And then they cart him out. She's freaking out. Like, we got to save him. I gotta interrogate him. And as they cart him out on the stretcher, Clea is sitting there and she sees him being, trucked away. And this look of sadness mixed with, oh, fuck, now I got to go finish the job. I got to kill him.
Yeah, you can't even do that right.
Exactly. You fucked that up too, man.
You didn't have a problem killing my family.
Yeah. Exact. Good point. Ty from 2 on 3 Pod DM'd me and he said, quote, "You should discuss how Luthen's failure to kill himself was honestly a massive fuck up on his part. You're telling me he never rigged the shop to blow with a dead man switch? Dumb, to be honest. He's not wrong, because you would have thought."
Probably in the back room, though. Or maybe even at that desk.
But once you know she's there, don't you have to go to the front door knowing I've got to have a kill myself?
Yeah, you got to have the remote on you. That's fair. Yeah.
Right. I mean, he does try to kind of slow her down and delay her a little bit to let that shit continue to burn, the acid continue to burn in the back, but he needs to have a more solid, have a fucking blaster on you so you can just shoot yourself in the chin.
I mean, maybe the fact he didn't want to blow up all of the real artifacts.
Too much. I can't get rid of all these nice toys. Clea might need these to sell.
Imperial cyanide electrical tooth things that they showed in Mandalorian and in Rebels.
Yeah, right. Good point. And like Tom Cruise has in Mission Impossible, right? Same thing. Maybe he was thinking, this is Clea's. She's the heir to this fortune of gallery items. I can't just destroy these things.
Right. I got to leave her something.
This is her 401k right here. Back at ISB, quickly, Partagaz informs Hirt about Dedra's operation. And that's when Hirt says, I was here because of Lonnie's demise, because Lonnie's dead. And Partagaz's like, what? He had no idea. So then we go into the flashbacks. Clea makes it to the safe house. We get this flashback to how Luthen found her on her home planet, like we talked about before. And he was with the Empire just laying waste. Did you happen to see the captions for this particular scene?
Yes.
You hear all the orders they're barking out, and it's like, if it's moving, kill it.
Kill it.
Oh, there's nothing alive there anymore.
We've got 50 of them or something in the basement.
It's an extermination.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Fucking nasty business. So he's listening to all this on the radio, and he just keeps muttering, "Make it stop, while he drinks his little flask. And the angle you see of the shots of him is from young Clea's perspective as she's hiding. I thought that was kind of a cool effect.
It was.
And then she makes a noise inevitably, and he hears her and opens up the little shaft, and we find Newt from Aliens.
Exactly. Yep.
Very reminiscent. Why don't you put her in charge? Well, he sort of does.
Yeah.
Did you catch his name, by the way? Sergeant Lear.
Yeah, it was Lear. Yep.
Braille backward. And by the way, my lady friend was convinced that Clea was the same gal who was Cassian's sister. And I'm like, it's not the same. She was like, they look the same. I was like, it's not the same girl. I think a lot of people thought that, they thought maybe because they have similar starts.
I think if it was any other Star Wars fan writing, that might have been something that was shoehorned in. But Gilroy is completely realistic when it comes to this shit.
I think so. Right.
Yeah.
Somebody probably brought it up and he went, come on.
Yeah. Get out of my writer's room.
Yeah. You're fired. At the hospital, Dedra is screaming at the staff, wanting Luthen to wake up. Wake him up.
Yeah.
Gotta ask him questions. Because she also, I think, realizes she's on a timeline here because she's done all these things on her own and she better get some information quick or she's going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Just then, Hirt shows up. It's hard to say that name. And he tells her she's under arrest. So she's conveniently out of the way for Clea to do her thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Clea shows up, steals some scrubs to fake like a nurse.
Kidnaps Granny E.T.
Yeah, I know. This fun little creature that's like mumbling and scatting and doing all this stuff. It's pretty funny. I think somebody said the elevator music was that same Niamos tune, but just in a different slowed down version. I couldn't quite hear it. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. So she's taken this gal up to try to get closer to Luthen's room. Then we go back to the flashback again. And this time it's Clea who's now with Luthen and kind of getting her first taste of how much of a boss she is at a young age because they're bargaining for this to sell this piece and that Luthen has. And I like how the woman says, I'll buy the piece for 10 with a smile. And eventually Clea, agrees to pay her 18 and says, but with no smile.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
And I don't think we see Clea smile ever.
We really don't, except we see her do the fake smiles at that party when she's at the party and sees Lonnie and all that.
Lonnie, yep.
And then you see a very tiny hint of one in the last scene she's in, which we'll get to later. As they're doing more trading in a town now, we see that the Empire is bringing some seemingly innocent people, dragging them through to the town square as retribution for some trooper getting killed. And she insists on standing there and watching it, and watches these people get gunned down, including somebody who looks like she's like he's about her age.
Yes.
So she's really feeling the effects of what the Empire is doing now. And this prompts her to ask Luthen, when are we going to start fighting back against this bullshit? Mm-hmm. And he is like, take that, internalize that, but we got to take a bunch of fucking L's before we can fight back.
Right.
There's a cool shot that location they were in. I think it's somewhere in Spain or Portugal. I can't remember where, but I've seen the actual
castle?
Shot of what it looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty sweet.
Okay,
so back at the hospital, we see Clea make her way up to the floor Luthen's on and pulls out a detonator. She's about to push the button. And at this point, you're thinking she's just going to blow up his room at this point. Like, I think going in, we kind of thought that. Like, she's going to blow up something.
Oh, no, I picked up on the shot where she comes out initially. Is it before she goes into the safe? She cracks the safe to get the scrubs out?
Yeah.
When she looks out the window and takes everything, there's a weird focus that it does where you see all the vehicles on the side.
Okay.
And then when she's going up the elevator, I think it does another one, and I'm like, she's going to blow them fucking things up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, we flash back again, and Luthen and Clea are just chilling in this cafe on Naboo. And just when, she thinks that Luthen's getting cold feet about the 50 Imperials on the bridge that they're going to try to blow up, she's going to find out that he's basically asking her, like, are you sure you want in on this life? I feel bad because I'm taking a child and inserting her into a rebellion well before she is an adult.
This is like what Batman should have done with Robin.
Never asked Robin.
No.
That's why Robin was so fucked up in the end. Oh man. He doesn't let her blow it though. He pushes the button himself, and he's teaching her how to act. Like, don't look yet. Okay, now turn.
It's so funny. Did we talk about this before? We're basically rooting for the terrorists.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the terrorists are the good guys.
And she is a bit shook by the moment, but this is kind of where she crosses the line into the rebellion. That's kind of like you're part of the rebellion now kind of thing, And I love that it's on Naboo as just a fuck you to Palpatine because that's his home planet.
Right. Great. We're assuming so, right? Like, what else would it be? But yeah.
I think it has to be that. I think it has to be on purpose. Back to the hospital again, and she pushes the button. It blows up a bunch of vehicles as a distraction. All the troopers go running. It kind of clears a path for her to get to Luthen's room. Well, sort of. She has to smoke a few people.
Yeah. I love how she shoots the one in the fucking head and then just puts the gun back behind her back and rounds the corner when the whole hallway is visible through glass. So it's like, why are you hiding the gun?
So she has to go into his room and unhook his life support and watch him die. It's a tough moment. And she gives him this, this little kiss and kind of gets the fuck out of there. But like you said, it's the first time you really see some deep emotion from her.
Yeah.
Where she's like, holy fucking shit, I got to do this, and I think all that emotion is probably coming out because like you said before, she still has a lot of bitterness toward him for everything that he did back when she first met him and all the other stuff along the way. But of course, deep down, she, has this love for him.
It's like a dysfunctional father figure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is an apt comparison, but this whole relationship, especially how they came together and how he was sort of her father figure, like you mentioned, and kind of her rebel teacher, it kind of reminded me a bit of The Professional and Jean Reno and Padme's own, or Natalie Portman, Padme. That movie, you've seen that movie, of course.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Fucking great movie. But there's a lot of similar themes to kind of how they came together and how he sort of kind of reluctantly at first, but then decides to, show her the ropes of how to do this nasty business that he's in. I mean, obviously not a totally, same story because Luthen's with her for many, many years, whereas Jean Reno is not.
Yeah, Leon, does he make it out of the apartment building?
No, almost.
Yeah.
He gets real close.
I can see the doorway.
Anyway, all in all, I thought this was one of the stronger episodes of the season and kind of a nice sidebar from our main character to just like tell this great story and give us all this depth of character for Clea because she was this mysterious character throughout the first season.
Right.
I mean, you got more of her in season 2 and she really, you kind of got a better idea of who she was, but it really wasn't until now that you understood exactly where she came from and why she is the way she is and why she's so loyal to Luthen.
Yeah.
So very cool. Episode 11. Who else knows? So we kind of open in the aftermath of Clea's handiwork and
what a fucking opening shot, man.
of all the.
It just stays on the stormtrooper's body, and the feet walk into frame, and like the feet pass the stormtrooper and turn, and then the other feet come in, and they're just standing over this fucking dead dude, and they don't even care. The camera comes up, they just start talking.
Well, right, and here it has turned into a real prick, hasn't he? Like he learned well from Dedra.
He did.
And he's really good at doing the whole, like, I got to put all the blame on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So they go through this thing where they're like, it had to be a team of 3, that did this attack. Because they just can't imagine one person doing all of this. But of course, Clea is crafty as fuck. So later, when they show here, like, reviewing the security footage, that guy who's running the security footage was hilarious, by the way. It's like, my cousin just put in an application for the ISB. They realized, though, that Clea acted alone. So she did it all on her own. And when he takes this to Partagaz and Krennic, they tell him to put out a broad alert to find her.
What a sexist thing. I mean, a broad alert.
A broad alert. It's an alert for this broad,
Yeah.
And Partagaz has this idea. Let's say that she's got a disease and she's going to infect and kill thousands.
I love how everything that's from episode 1 to now is all coming into this and paying off and ruining everyone. And then this great idea comes back to bite him in the ass almost immediately.
It does, right? Because it spreads their forces all over the place. Mm-hmm. But clearly the stress is getting to Partagaz because he is.
Well, I think he's on the same level as Deirdre in the sense that like he knows a fuck up is going to put him somewhere.
Exactly. And I think, because what is the line that Krennic says? He says something like, I can't bail you out on this one or something like that. He says something to him almost like, no, not that one. That's to Dedra later. Mm-hmm. No, it's when Krennic's talking to Partagaz and he's like, I can't bail you out on this one. Like almost like you're on the hook, dude. So
well, yeah, because with Leon and everything, and now he's, trying to save the day and he spreads everyone out and that's going to fuck him later with Andor. Like this just doesn't work out for these ISB people at all.
No. Now, the interrogation, like you mentioned, we go to the interrogation room, the same room where Dedra and grilled Cyril, and they had their first date.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Krennic, my God. So first he kills the cameras. That's a gulp. She hears it. And she's like, uh-oh. Uh-huh. This is Guantanamo shit.
Don't bring in the audio device with the screaming children, please.
Yeah, I'll take that one instead.
Right.
So he wants to know about the Death. Who knows about the Death Star? That's what he's trying to figure out. Because of course this is his baby project. He doesn't want anybody to know about it. And he's thinking, maybe you are a rebel spy, but he just wants to know how far this information is leaked. So he reveals that Lonnie had her code cert.
Yeah, he had her signal sign in.
Right, and that's what we heard from Lonnie at the beginning.
What's that? No, what's that app in the government where what's that thing that happened recently? Is it called Signal?
Oh shit! What was it? Signal, yeah.
Signal,
yeah. So she's shocked, and she's like, "Well, he must have stolen that access," and she's not wrong. He did steal the access. And when he asked her about if she knows about Galen Erso, or how she knows about Galen Erso, and she says that this intel was mistakenly sent to her office. But hey, I didn't read all of it, just some of it. I mean,
I probably should have reported it, but I didn't say anything.
And just standard, like, huge bureaucracy fuck up. Like, oops, put the wrong person on the 2 line.
Yeah.
It's like that. So Krennic shares how young Lonnie spent 3 hours in her account the previous night, and he emphasizes your account by jamming his index finger into the top of her head in a move that was apparently improvised by Mendelsohn. She didn't know it was coming.
Yeah, I read that. I saw that on Twitter. Yeah,
so the look on her face is legit.
Yeah. It's like, man, he's poking me in my baby soft spot.
Exactly. And I think Tony Gilroy maybe said something about it, like when he first saw it, he was like, oh shit. Like he didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, because this isn't like flamboyant, colorful, I'm starting this whole thing, this energy project, Galen Erso we saw, or not Galen, I just lost his name.
Krennic,
yeah. This isn't the Krennic like we saw from the beginning, when he was having this is, fucking business, because now he's got this thing, and, we know he's also going to start fighting with fucking Tarkin, so.
And I think so little of you, I'm putting my fucking finger
Right.
down on your head just to make you
Yeah.
feel really small.
Yeah.
Like I can squish you like a little grape.
Yeah, he
You know?
was sending out a broad alert.
So that might have to be the episode title. So then Krennic asks, why the fuck she tried to confront Luthen on her own, which is a great question. And that's when he says, if you're not a rebel spy, you missed your calling.
Oh, man.
So she suggests finally that Clea, his assistant, knows what Luthen knows, and that he should, try to find her. And he responds by aggressively shoving her back in her seat, like really aggressively.
Mhm.
And then he says, you know what, we'll carry on without you. And I think at that point she's like, well, I'm fucked.
Yes.
They don't need me anymore. So then she also sees him be informed through the window. And I think that's when he finds out Luthen's dead. But she doesn't know that yet. So meanwhile, Clea digs into the wall at the safe house. She's miserable and is trying to find this comms unit that she can use to send this distress call, kind of a coded message. And she starts sending it out almost like a Morse code. And Willman comes back to his pad, and Dreena's like, what the fuck's this? This your burner phone? What the hell is this thing? I know we've only been together for a while now. Well, I guess they've been together a year. He's like, hold on, I'll tell you in a minute. So he gets the thing out, and he decides, okay, I got to take this shit over to Cassian. Cassian? What?
I just had fucking a flashback to podcasting. I'm on the phone with my friends.
So Willman takes it over to show Cassian, and he's getting drunk with Melshi playing this game with K2. It's almost like some form of like Yahtzee, dominoes, and bridge.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what the hell that game is. Get a lot of funny, sassy comments from K2 here. And then eventually Clea's message comes through as they're sitting around waiting, and Cassian decides, okay, I gotta head out. We're gonna do like a fake test flight because K2's like, how are we gonna even get out of there? We gotta tell them where we're going. And so they go out on the U-Wing, takes Melshi with him and K2, and they take off and make the jump to head to Coruscant, despite that voice on the radio telling them to stand down, which of course is, again, Tony Gilroy, just like he did in Rogue One.
Oh.
You knew that, right?
I didn't know that was him on this one.
Oh, you didn't know it was him this time? Yeah,
Right.
It was Tony Gilroy again. Same voice. It's the same guy, basically, who does his, where they go, Rogue One, that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same guy. Same character, I should say. I like how they arrive on Coruscant and K2's telling them how he was on Coruscant in a parade once and Palpatine was there.
I know.
It's so funny because it's so consistent with exactly the writing we got in Rogue One, where he would make a comment and they are just disregarding him, and then he trails off and like adds a little bit at the end. Palpatine was there.
Right.
You're right. We needed more of him. He's such a fucking great droid. He might be my favorite droid ever. What's next? Hirt. He's scrambling because he's like, fuck, like I'm on the hook here. So he goes down to Dedra for advice. She's like, really? You gonna come for me for advice now? And she tells him to look up the info on all the old radio frequencies that Luthen used when they were communicating with Ferrix. Mm-hmm. Great idea, Dedra. See, she still got it.
She does.
Useful.
Yep.
So he goes back to the gallery and finds out how they've been using this radio. I love how the Imperial agent's like, it's really brilliant.
Yeah, she's all into it. They've been piggybacking off our signal since the beginning.
Oh, that cracked me up. So while they're talking about tracing communications, they pick up Clea's latest call because I think she's doing like the every 2 hours,
right?
Send out the call thing, and they can kind of narrow in on the safe house. So then Cassian and Melshi head in. They get to Clea at the safe house.
They tell K2SO, stay here. He's always got to stay with the ship.
Right. Well, it's like R2.
What is he? He's like, I don't really like it here. What does he say when he's like sitting in the cockpit and he's watching them walk and he's like, he announces something to himself about
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Not being happy to be sitting there or something.
There's a scene later where he's resting his head on his chin or on his hands. Like he's resting his chin on his hands. Like, So yeah, Hirt and his team fly in to find her, but Cassian and Melshi get there first. And she starts dumping all that info she memorized from Luthen to Cassian.
And she's not happy it's him that's coming to get her.
Is she not happy, or is she like, you're the fucking guy who has to show up and save the day every time? I was trying to figure that out.
I think because like he kind of disillusioned himself from Luthen's group.
Oh, I see.
Like she wasn't surprised that it was him because the way Luthen felt about him and knew he was good at his job.
Yeah.
But also what he did to so it was like a betrayal of sorts, right?
I guess I kind of read it also as she's like, well, this is the dude who got fucking Mon Mothma out of the Senate. Like, it's got to be this guy. If anybody was going to come get me, it's this guy.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah.
So then, she's rattling all this stuff off. Gorman, Jedi, Kyber, Erso, blah, blah, blah. She talks about how they're building this weapon. The look on her face when Cassian asks, "You're sure Luthen is dead?" Like, hey, cunt face. Yeah, I'm sure. I pulled the plug myself.
Right, yeah. Literally.
But it's interesting because all this info she dumps on him is what he's going to confirm when he meets Tivik at the beginning of Rogue One.
Yeah,
it's all the same kind of stuff. So he tells her, we got to get you out of here. We got to head to Yavin, which of course she's not really keen on because she's feeling like, fuck Yavin. They never supported us or Luthen. They can go eat a dick.
Right. She's like the last one to sort of like belong to the full rebellion, like as a group.
Right. Mm-hmm.
She's still outcasted because she's always just been with Luthen.
Yes, right. Yeah. And she knows Luthen was always leery of them because of the way they operated. And he didn't like it because he didn't have the freedom he wanted to have to do what he wanted to do.
And we're going to see the other side of that in the next episode because they're all leery of Luthen.
Yes, right. And each other really, but definitely of Luthen. Yeah. And then at the end we get Hirt and his team slowly moving in on their location. Oh, and I almost forgot. K2 realizes the comms were down, so he went in to help and just started knocking dudes all over the place. Basically wipes out Team 2 by himself.
Yep.
And he's going to have some fun with Team 1 in the next episode. But he also puts an Imperial trooper's head through the comms unit, which fucks up Partagaz's ability to monitor what's happening.
Right.
Fucking hero. Oh, God, he's good. I like how there's that scramble where they're like, did you call in a intimidator? What do they call it? Not intimidator droid. Enforcer droid? And they're like, no.
Why is, yeah.
Okay, episode 12. This is the end. Sad. Pick up where we left off. Cassian and Melshi trying to convince Clea, you gotta come with us, man. Like, we're not gonna leave you here.
Right.
And you need to see what you've helped build. Like, I think that's a good point that comes up later in this episode. That she kind of realizes that. And they're also like, we kind of need you to tell the story to the higher ups because you're just throwing a bunch of words at us. And we don't know how they all fit together.
Yeah. We don't know what order to put them in.
Right. Melshi walks out the door just in time to get held up by the ISB unit. And they're like, no sudden movements. And then it just classic.
Bugs bunnied the fuck out of there.
Yes. Like his hair was still, or his eyebrows were still there.
Right. Yeah.
So he runs back inside the apartment. They eventually toss a stunner in there and knocks Clea out. And chivalrous Cassian covers her body and is like blowing dudes away while he's trying to cover her up. So he just continues to try to save everybody. Like they said, somebody says that later. Vel or something. He should stop saving everyone. Something like that.
Well, I mean, clearly he has so far. I mean, you just brought up he came back to save Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
Now he's back to save her. Like
he is the savior.
Yep.
So just then K2 comes strolling down the hallway, picks up Hirt, and uses him, like you said in your intro, as a shield, despite the fact that the shots aren't going to do shit to him. He's just like, hey, why don't you shoot this pinata?
Yeah.
And
I love the way he's fucking dead.
Yeah. Like
front and center on the frame coming out at you. I'm like, man, can they hold on that any longer?
It was pretty satisfying.
And then doesn't he take his dead carcass and slam it into somebody?
I think he chucks it at somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
So K2 finishes them all off, and then meanwhile, Partagaz is shitting a brick because he can't reach the team, and he's got no other units because he sent out the broad alert.
Right.
You'd think they'd have more units in general. Like, you think they would have planned better for this and sent more than 2 units if this was their best lead.
Right.
Like, you would think they would send more than 2 units, but typical Empire, that's what they do.
Yep. Shorthanded.
A few units actually do arrive, but too late because Cass goes flying by like 2 ships in the night. They miss each other.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Now back on Yavin, Saw is laying into Mon Mothma. This scene was hilarious because I love it. She's like, dude, we know you're on Jedha. And he's like, I'm not.
How did anyone in the editing room not think we might need to reshoot this? I mean, like, if it's played for jokes, okay, good. I'm on board. But I mean, he's totally like, you don't know where I'm at. like he's a toddler. You can't see me.
Right. They literally see like Chirrut and Imwe or whatever, those 2 guys in the background. Right. Like, don't pay attention to them. That has nothing to do with anything. He has a good line, though. If only you could fight as well as you lie. That was a nice line from Ron. He loves a lay into her. So Andor returns to the base. Heyo. Andor returns to the base, and we see our buddy from Rogue One manning the comm station. We get to see General Radis also. We're starting to see a lot of people we saw in Rogue One. And you can tell already that Bail Organa is not happy with the sloppiness of the rebellion.
Right. Yeah.
He's very pissed off.
I'm putting all my efforts into this.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Then we should have way more organization than this. We need more committees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he's gonna have to learn. He's got to be more flexible, which he kind of figures out. But they get this nice, not so friendly escort into the base, and Draven, in his usual pissed off demeanor, he's kind of got resting bitch face. That Draven.
He does.
He takes Cassian to see the members of the Rebel Council, the ones that are there anyway, including your gal Mon. Now, you talked about the hair. They tried to match it up to what we saw in Rogue One.
I know.
Her hair just keeps getting worse every season.
Couldn't they have just rebooted that whole idea?
Yeah, you can retro. You can
that's
fix that.
the one thing they should have been like, yeah, you know what? That was just a fever dream of hers. This is the real scene and how it worked out.
Maybe it was a wig like one of Luthen's, right? She takes it off and she's back to her regular hair. You'd still do it. Anyway, Cassian lays out what he heard from Clea about the Empire building a weapon, but Bail, that twat Jebel, that fucking guy.
Which one was Jebel?
He was the dude senator, or not, well, maybe former senator, who was sitting there, and every time Cassian would say something, he'd be like, "Oh, please."
Right. Yeah.
That guy sucked. And then that gal Pamlo, who we see in Rogue One, she's the one who's like, if they have a weapon like this, how do we stand a chance or whatever? They're all just shitting on the idea, or no, sorry, at the time they were shitting on the idea of going to Scarif, but this is just them crapping all over Luthen.
Yeah.
Because he's just this pain in the ass to them, and they kind of aren't buying his intel. They're like, how do we trust this? And I love this line from Cassian. It's insulting to hear him run down by people who have given a fraction of his sacrifice for the rebellion. Fucking dope line.
Yeah.
And yeah, fuck all you guys.
Right.
You don't know. I like how he does that moment too. You know him? You know him? I've actually met him.
Right. I've dealt with the pain in the ass.
Right. Now, Bail does make a fair point here because he worries that the ISB was maybe spinning a yarn for Luthen and leading him astray, which is the same exact thing Cassian said back in the beginning of this season, I think, when they were talking about all the intel they got. What was that in? I'm trying to remember now. There was a point where somebody was saying that they were told something by the ISB, and he was saying they're trained a lot. Oh, it was when he was on Gorman.
Right.
He was saying that. So similar theory there. Mm-hmm. He also kind of notes that, Luthen kind of laid so many seeds of doubt here. It's kind of hard to fully trust the guy, and he's not wrong.
Right.
We get some mention of General Dodonna and General Merrick, and how they'll be back the next day to kind of discuss this. And until then, Andor's grounded. You're grounded, sir. So, like you said, this distrust of each other and hesitancy to come together is kind of what we see more of in Rogue One. And that's what leads to Jyn basically going, fuck it, I'll go to Scarif anyway. They don't advance any between this feeling now and the Rogue One feeling, which granted is probably a short period of time.
Couple of days.
But you see that it's just lingered.
Right.
Oh, on the way back to check on Clea, Draven tells Andor that Tivik has sent these urgent messages over the last few hours. Mm-hmm. And so he's like kind of planting that seed like, oh, we might need to go check on that. Cassian tells Willman that Luthen's dead. So he's sad. And then Mon tells Vel that Luthen's dead. And she kind of has mixed feelings because, she had a love-hate with Luthen.
Right. I think everybody did.
I think so. And so she's like, well, why don't you go have a chat with Cassian and tell me if he'll tell you what he's told us. I want to know if this is legit info. I want you to give me like an honest assessment. Mm-hmm. So Vel goes to drink with Andor, and they toast all the people they've lost over the years, which is sad. And she asks him about Luthen's story. Cassian kind of convinces her that it's legit and that Luthen died for it. That like, this is legit. Yep. He died for this information. It wasn't something that he's just, bullshitting about.
Right. He's all the Bothians.
He's all the Bothans. And he's like, Clea wouldn't lie about it too, which I think is
right.
I think Vel takes that,
Yep.
As she leaves Cassian, she tells him, you should maybe reconnect with Bix. And he's like, I don't know. I think it's safer for her if I stay away. She's like, she might not agree with that. She's got to know she's had the kid, right?
Yes. Well, yeah. I was going to say I was going to hold it to the end, but did you pick up on that she might be pregnant in the last episodes when she was in her recording? The way that she says, we have to do this, or
we have to win.
No,
not that.
The way that she's saying we have to be a part, or we have to do this for us, or however she words it, I was like, she's not talking about the two of them.
She's talking about her and the babe.
Yeah.
Yeah. She knew she was pregnant.
Right.
She had to have. And yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but it gives a lot more weight to her decision and why she did it, totally. Now I love this next transition because they show Clea getting out of bed in the infirmary and walking outside, and we start to hear Nemec's manifesto being relayed again, only to realize it's Partagaz listening to it.
Yep. We can't fucking get rid of this thing.
Yeah. And he's just like, much like the rebellion, this manifesto has spread like wildfire. It's everywhere. It's
gone, as the kids say, viral.
It has gone viral for sure. And Partagaz just seems overwhelmed by it all. Like almost like, how did it get to this? How did this all spread so far? How could we not contain it? That's the ISP's job,
Yep.
So that's when Legret comes to get him. He knows he's in deep shit. I think he's probably at that point, he's thinking, I'm going to get thrown in the slammer like Dedra and be living on Narkina the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Or I could take a moment, pull out Han Solo's blaster. Didn't it kind of look like Han Solo's blaster? Right? And eat a bullet. So he decides to do that, and Legret knew it was coming. He says, hold up to those stormtroopers so fast.
Right. Yeah, he knew it was coming.
Yeah. Then Clea goes wandering around Yavin at one point in the pouring rain, and she bumps into Vel, who takes her back to her place, and she tries to kind of comfort her about the loss of Luthen. And then also Draven stops by Andor's place and is like, you need to go to Kafrene. You got to meet with Tivik. He'll only talk to you. We need to get this information, figure out what's what. And then Mon and Draven go to Bail, and they share their info and basically say, you got to listen to us. We're telling you, they're supporting him, essentially, trying to buy him, trying to win him over. And then we see K2 waking up Cassian a bit later, and he's having a dream about his sister.
Right.
Just to kind of remind you that she's still in his mind and in his heart, and something that has been driving him all along. I love the line, K2. The man who you do not like is here.
Yeah.
It's right. Like, could you be more specific?
And then as he comes in, he walks out, he leaves.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Bail informs Cassian that he's clear to go to Kafrene and get the info from Tivik. I can't say his name right. And he also drops a "May the Force be with you" on him, which I think is the only time we hear that in this whole series. Right?
Yeah, right.
And then we close with this montage of Cassian getting ready, feeding the plant, watering the plants, leaving food out for his loath cat.
It's so weird because it's like, oh, I'll be back in a couple of days.
Well, and he does come back. This isn't the last time he's there.
Oh, that's true. You're right.
Because he does come back, but it is funny that with the time they take showing that.
Yep.
Then you just see him encountering all these people along the way. Like he sees Melshi training that group that they're going to work with to get an infiltrate Scarif with.
Yeah.
You get a little head nod to Mon, who's having brekkie with Vel.
Mm-hmm.
You get this amazing shot of Perrin riding back home in his car, having just gotten hammered with the mother of his son-in-law. So they're fucking.
Who's holding a fucking what is that called?
Not a, I know what you're talking about.
Flask, decanter.
Yeah, it's like a decanter.
But like a mad scientist fucking size.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is, and then he's got a glass full, he takes a drink, but that fucking thing is still it's got 2/5 of vodka or whiskey or whatever the fuck in that thing.
Yeah, it looks like whiskey.
And she's hammered and he's still ready to go. Now, let's settle on this for a minute.
Okay.
Do you think this is them playing the part, or is this an open relationship thing? Is this there's I'm
what do you mean by them playing the part?
Like the part of them, especially him. Well, I guess both of them would be looked at now because of Mon Mothma, right?
Yeah, so they would have ties to her.
Are they just being drunken and disorderly?
Don't worry about us, we weren't involved kind of thing?
Yeah, we're messing up everything and we don't have nothing to do with her.
It could be. I mean, what struck me about this is there was some discussion at one point about how, I can't remember who it was who talked about this, about how there was going to be this scene where Mon, after she does her speech at the Senate, goes back and talks to Perrin on Chandrila and basically says, you need to take care of Lita. I got to get the fuck out of here. And in that scene was supposed to be this moment where Perrin's like, I knew all along what was going on. Like I had your back kind of thing.
Yeah, I had read something about that.
But then this just changes it back to him just being a fucking loser and a douchebag.
Which is probably why they took that scene out. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to give him that depth or that any sort of empathy toward the character. They wanted him to remain that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just comes off. I mean, the most he comes off looking like is maybe he's not happy with his decisions in life,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But that's just the hangover talking already.
I don't think he's reached the hangover yet.
Well, probably not yet.
He's like, Look, you get the nap in the car, but when we get back, this is a broad alert. We're
I'm giving you a broad alert. So then you get a shot of Dedra in those prison fatigues and an Arcana lockdown. Hey, at least she wasn't shot.
Like it wasn't shocking because it makes complete sense, but seeing it, like not expecting it, and then she's there. Oh man,
that was perfect.
You couldn't have, a better fate for her than that.
And the lights turning off being what like sets her off. Like she's like, oh God. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I guess Tony Gilroy said to whoever did that set when they did the Narkina thing, I need you to save just a piece of that set. Because he says they get rid of sets so fast. Because he thought they might use it again later. That's okay. You get a really cool shot of Clea watching members of the rebellion go by and it kind of hitting her. That's what I meant earlier about that just subtle smile break where she kind of realizes, okay, Luthen and I helped build this. I think she's miserable and horrible, like feels terrible where she is. But I think there's a small part of her that's like, well, look what we did.
Yeah.
You even get Cassian with a little look to the Force healer. She gets a little nod.
Yep.
We see Saw staring off at the Star Destroyer hovering over Jedha, which we saw in the trailers. And you see Krennic overlooking the Death Star nearly complete. And then we end with the scene that I thought might be an end credit scene and had, kind of speculated that it would be. And that's B2 Emo back on Mina Rao. And Bix is wandering out in the wheat fields and she's got a baby. And she's looking out over the horizon, almost like Cassian does at the end of Rogue One.
Mm.
It also kind of illustrates the whole like fighting for a sunrise I know I'll never see line from Luthen.
Yeah, true.
Kind of that. And of course it as you mentioned earlier, this makes more sense why she left. Because not only is she, trying to protect her unborn child, but she's also feeling like, okay, well, my presence, he was ready to give up the rebellion just for the two of us to run away together. If I tell him I'm pregnant, he's 100% going to run away from the rebellion.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't tell him. It's not just to protect my baby to go away and be away from the heat of the action. It's also to sacrifice my well-being and family life because this guy's so integral to the rebellion.
Right. Yeah. I think ending the way it does though kind of settles on like the theme of hope as well.
It does. Yeah. I think that was a key piece to,
right.
You always have to have a little bit of hope at the end, right? Coincidentally, the name of the baby, Tim.
Oh, that's a bummer.
No.
Shithead Tim.
Shithead Tim. Did you, by the way, watch the credits and hear the music change halfway through? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
So if you stayed listening to the credits, about halfway through, it switches to the Star Wars theme song.
No shit.
The one Bill Murray sings. Star Wars.
Nothing but Star Wars.
No, but I thought it was kind of cool that it showed that. Oh, and also a shout out to Ronnie Brown, who we had on our show. She's the Foley artist from Skywalker Sound. Yeah. She was one of the Foley artists on this series.
Oh.
So well done,
Job
Ronnie.
well done, yeah.
So that was it. I did kind of want to talk about how this leads into Rogue One and just also kind of what and who we didn't get in this show that we thought we might at the beginning of the season. So, no Jyn, Vader, Palps, Leia. Mm-hmm. Although Tony said that they considered Leia.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the Senate, maybe.
Okay.
But he said they just couldn't make it work right. And like you said, he's one of those people, he's like, I'm not going to pull these things just for like crowd-pleasing moments. It has to matter. And so I think in the end, he decided it wasn't worth it. Kino Loy never showed up, and he said, what am I going to do to top his exit?
Right.
It's a good way for him to go
he's
out.
right. He's right, yeah.
Right, so why bring him back? I thought we might get a Galen cameo. Kind of surprised we didn't, but...
I did too. Yeah, I was surprised by that. Because that one kind of, it makes sense to do.
Yeah, I think so, especially with Krennic everywhere.
Right.
But I mean, we pretty much got everybody else we saw in Rogue One for the most part. Oh, they also left out your boy Linus, Cyril's homie. That image of him drinking, laying next to his grave that I sent to you, that was so fucking funny. Bail obviously had to be included, and then you get, a smattering of other people like Draven and Radis and all that kind of stuff. So, and those stupid senators. They gave us the nod of Cassian still thinking about his sister, but like there was a lot of talk about that. Should they resolve that? Should the sister story come up again? And Tony Gilroy basically said she's almost like a story tool. She's a driver.
Right. I
one
read
of the drivers
that,
of him.
I with his way of thinking and the way he explains it, it makes complete sense. But it is one of those things that like almost like in TV and movies, you usually have that happy ending or you have that answer. And there wasn't with that. So that's kind of jarring. But for this show, makes complete sense as why you did it.
It does.
And he's right. You don't need it. Like, that was like the
You really
catalyst
don't.
for him to go to the planet and get, shot up by the police and all that anyways. It was just what started everything. The haunting of never knowing.
Right. We're left without some other resolutions that could be explored or not in future content. Perrin banging Davos Bird. What's going to happen to Lita? That whole situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Vel, Clea, and Wilman all survived, so why didn't we see him in Rogue One or A New Hope? You don't have to for those particular stories, of course, but it's interesting that they made it and that they survived. I think at the beginning, I don't remember who we said was going to survive and who wasn't. Shit, I should have looked up that list. I'm pretty sure I thought Vel would live and Cinta would die. I think I got that. And I thought Clay would make it. I did not think Wilman would make it. I thought he'd die.
Yeah, I believe we both thought that.
And I thought Bix would make it, but I think you thought she was going to die.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember, but I remember having the conversation because she had said something before the show came out about her
wanting to explore the character
going
more.
on. I led to believe that, she survives. So
yeah, I mean, how are their lives going to play out? Her and her child.
I saw people on Twitter saying that the baby is Poe.
Well, I've heard that one before. They've even shown the picture of the two of them standing behind and Poe in the front. Like the family photo. Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Well, I mean, and I suppose Dedra's situation is going to be resolved someday. She's going to be one of those rehabilitated Imperials like we saw in Mando, right?
Right. Yeah.
If she makes it that far,
at least it'll get her out right. Yeah. Yeah. My prediction is if this show like sweeps the Emmys, right?
Yeah. Spin off.
Like, Disney's going to find a way to put more money into it. Like there's these characters, plus there's like Mon Mothma, I think, can carry a show. As a lead. There's enough to weave through the next the sequel trilogy or in between them,
Yes. Or even if you wanted to entertain some stories, I know that we've kind of hit on this a lot, but entertaining some stories within the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Between those three movies, there's some stories to tell there, particularly between between A New Hope and Empire. That's 3 years.
I
don't know.
Yeah, too close though. I want something like where
you want further out.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Just to have different answers with, like we've seen Mon Mothma in Ahsoka, so we know she hangs around a lot.
True.
Things look pretty good for her. So I'm curious as if she goes back, like what's the story with the family? Like I would guess she's reconnected with them.
Yeah, true. There's got to be something. Because after all the shit blows over, you would think, but maybe Lita still hates her.
I imagine she does, which would make for a good show.
Yeah, it would. I'm trying to think. Any other kind of final thoughts about the show? I mean, there's, what more can you say? There's just so much. The show was so freaking awesome, but I don't know if I have any other thoughts. That was kind of the bulk of it.
I'll share them for when we do the single episodes.
More on that in a minute.
Okay. Yeah.
Giveaway. We got a giveaway.
Oh, shit.
It's one of those things where we didn't have a lot of entries because due to the release schedule, there weren't a lot of breaks between episodes. And so we only got a certain number. And that just means the people that did get their entries in have a great chance to win. And we are giving away copies of the Reign of the Empire Mask of Fear book to all three winners. So can you pull up your randomizer? Let me pull up my thing here. Okay. In the end, we had 22 entries. That's all.
222 entries. Gotcha.
222 entries. So if you would like to pick a number, the first one, this is the first winner of the book. And this is, go ahead.
Number 13.
This is easier because I don't have to scroll very much. Chewbubba. Dan Evans.
Chewbubba
wins. Yeah. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of familiar people winning because that's the people that all got the entries.
Dan. Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 9.
Number 9, Adelphi Rangers wins a book.
Oh,
so
there we go.
Chewbubba and Adelphi Rangers, and then one
and
more.
The third one goes to someone who can't read. Number 3.
Oh, that's Adelphi Rangers again. Do another one.
Number 21.
21. That is Brown Leader from Hyperspace Heroes. So there you go. 3 longtime loyal listeners of the show getting rewarded with a free book. Congratulations. Thanks for engaging with the show over the years as well, but also for this particular giveaway.
Yep.
We'll try to get those out quick. Yeah, you know how I do with that.
Real quick. The first one of those three that Ant responds and wants an audible version of it, I think I have a credit. I'll gift them a credit and they can have an audible version.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
First one to respond. So email number 1 in the Maul bag is from Max Rebo. I hope you had a satisfactory Andor finale. He says, what an arc, chef's kiss. I spent my birthday on Batu and I'm still recovering, but here's a thought. By the way, he shared the picture. He was repping our Orabesh shirt when he was at Disneyland. So that was pretty sweet. Thank you for doing that.
I didn't see that.
He said, how would things have been different if Binks, thank you, didn't tell Tim that her ex-boyfriend was actually from Kenari? Good question. I think there's a couple of things there. One, he shithead Tim for a reason. He would have fingered Cassian.
Oh.
Anyway, because he's a jealous prick and he was trying to get him out of the way. So he probably would have fucked him over anyway.
Right. I think this way worked a little faster for them to find him.
Yeah.
But they were already on the look for him.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it, like if you play it out, like, so if they don't come to Ferrex that quickly, I mean, Cassian still meets Luthen. And Luthen still pitches him joining him. He's not as pressed because there's not like the Morlana cops bearing down.
Right.
Maybe he just says fuck off in that moment. But in the end, you figure Cassian was going to get won over and go into the rebellion.
Right.
I guess he wouldn't have to bust out Bix. Maybe Bix wouldn't have gone through the torture.
Right. Yeah.
So that would have been nice for her. But I just think in the end, he was just always meant to join. So it would have happened regardless. But that's a fair question. That's it for that one. Number 2, Brian Hour. Okay, we are done with season 2 and now know the most important thing survives. B2 emo.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Forrest Gump Jenny-induced spawn of Cassian. Whoa, Brian, easy there.
What?
Are you likening Bix to Jenny?
Yeah, this ain't an AIDS baby.
I thought we'd never confirmed that she had AIDS. I thought thought she had AIDS. There was another one that she had something else. But yes, your point stands. I don't think that's fair to equate Bix with Jenny Gump. That's
where is this train of thought coming from? Like, I don't even know how he's.
Explain yourself, Brian. Let's go to Brian. We've got him on the call. Hold on.
Yeah. All right.
He goes on. Well, let's just go on. I don't know where he gets this. He goes on to say.
Oh, I see why. Okay. Because he's already shipped Cassian and Jyn. So he's got hate for Binks.
Because of that, yes. I will not give into this Cassian Jyn hate since he has no idea about Bix. She made their choice. So now when he says Cassian Jyn hate, he's thinking about the fact that people were put off by them hanging out together if he knew that Bix was still out there. So people are hating on Jyn and Cassian as well. But I think this has reframed their relationship, that anybody who thought that they were sweet on each other, it was really more of a brotherhood, sisterhood kind of like camaraderie thing more so than they were going to fuck. But I mean, Cassian, he gets busy, but
he does. He fucks.
He fucks. Anyway, but I mean, either way, I think he's being a little bit harsh on Bix because she's the one who went back to B2 emo, your guy. Right. You're mad at her now?
Yeah.
She gave up her fucking relationship.
For 11 episodes,
for this rebellion.
Poor bastard was fucking left behind. She's like, I can go anywhere in the world. I'm going to go back. I'm going to raise my baby with his fucking pet robot.
Did you see that thing? Oh, you sent it to me. That it was based on somebody's corgi? The B2?
Yes. Yep.
He says, did I finish season 2 and roll right into Rogue One? Yes, I did. It's been a while, but it was nice seeing so many characters that they did bring back from the movie for the last part of the season. Did you watch Rogue One yet?
I didn't. I meant to, but I didn't get back into it.
We immediately watched the Tivik scene just to kind of watch it roll in and going to Kafrine, but I haven't watched the whole thing. I love that movie. I got to get back to it. All in all, near perfect Star Wars, and for that, thank you, Tony Gilroy. Amen, Brian.
I couldn't say it better myself. Thank you, Tony Gilroy.
We have a voicemail. You ready?
Oh, Chewbubba.
Yep.
Hello, gentlemen. It is Chewbubba from the lower dwellings of the state of New Jersey. I am calling to see whether or not you are still alive or if Jason has sadly passed away in utter ecstasy over the last 3 episodes of Andor.
Well, you're a little upset with what they did to Maud's hair.
Man, that's just, she should be upset with what they did to her hair. I mean, Jesus Christ. They got a fucking Bolrix on Yevon? Good God.
Get the bowl.
I mean, then she should have just like shaved it all and started over. I mean, just gone Ripley.
I like that idea.
So hopefully we will hear the wrap-up show sometime in the near future. Until then, thanks for all you do, and thanks for putting out great content, and we look forward to the next set of Star Wars shows that you're going to talk.
Oh, it cut him off. Yeah, about that, Dan.
Yeah, Matt.
Here's the hard part. So with Andor coming to a close and no new series in sight, really, and not, I mean, we don't have a movie till a year from now, basically.
Right.
I put it out to you that I think I might be done with the show.
Yes.
Things have been getting busier and busier. My kids are nearly both in high school now. There's just a lot of shit going on. The grind of the weekly show is kind of getting to me. And I just thought, well, do we just take a break and come back? I also thought, like, do we do like a seasonal type show where we just bust out a certain number of episodes and then take a lengthy break? And just trying to think of different ways to continue to make it work. And I don't know. In the end, I just didn't land on anything good. So I don't want to say it's 100% over, but it's pretty close because I just don't know if I want to come back and do it again because I've really enjoyed it. But at the same time, there's something about Star Wars podcasts because there's so fucking many of them. And because you just feel like you're all talking about the same shit, it just gets to a point where you're like, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Because we talked about this on DM.
I can see where you're coming from for that. I don't think that, I mean, if we're looking to build a huge audience, I don't see it ever happening.
No.
Not unless we change the way we did the podcast, which would basically be we'd have to have guests on all the time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for us to wrangle our schedule up, let alone, because we've talked about this, getting like a third party together, unless we did it a weekend. But usually, like on my free weekends, you're busy.
Right.
Those are your time where you are with your kids and everything. So yeah, it's a little difficult. I enjoy doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the fuckery of it more than anything.
Sure.
And that could be a reason why the audience hasn't grown either, because, you know, we don't really take it that serious. We're just having a good time.
Yeah. Which is what we wanted.
Yeah. I have no complaints about this, and I hope that didn't steer you and you're like, this fucker doesn't take us serious.
No, not at all. I think it's just more, I mean, that's the thing I'm going to miss the most is having this conversation with you all the time, because this is exactly the kind of show I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about Star Wars, get more into some of the stuff, and have these conversations that are just kind of these one-off thoughts, but just to do it in this kind of goofy way, which we've always done. And that's always what I wanted to do. I've heard many other Star Wars podcasts. Some take it very seriously, and that's great. But for us, it was always kind of meant to be just kind of this fuck around thing. Yeah. And it's been that. We've almost been doing it for 5 years. I mean, it's been a while.
Crazy. When you texted that earlier, I was like, has it really been 5 fucking years?
Yeah, and there's some interesting parallels here for my personal podcasting history, because I started podcasting well after you. When did you start? 2009? 10?
8.
8. 8?
Yep. Yeah.
Fuck. That's a long time.
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
I mean, that is infancy status of podcasting. Didn't you guys get a book or something? Like, didn't you?
Yeah, it was. I got a book from the library, The Dummy's Guide to Podcasting.
Perfect. And it had to be pretty bare bones.
No, I mean, it was. I think it was The Idiot's Guide to Podcasting and How to Podcast for Dummies. Those were the two.
Yeah.
And both of those books, like for the time, actually, most of that would probably work now, because there hasn't really a lot changed in how you release a podcast.
Sure.
The way you produce it and things like that, yeah, that's probably, that could be dealt with a little bit. There's probably several updates since then, but I mean, the ins and outs, yeah, there's one podcast that I remember mentioning that I think still podcasts, was it Keith and the Girl that was in one of those books, and I had them on my podcasting 101. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a long time. I mean, because when I started in 14, well, I originally talked about doing it in 2009. And was going to do it with another friend of mine, and we never got it off the ground. And then it just was tabled forever until Scott wanted to do that other podcast I did. There's several. And so, but you know, when we started in 2014, it still felt pretty new, even then. Like it just, it felt like an easier way to find an audience because there were fewer shows and people found you more easily. It's so cluttered.
Famous people weren't doing them.
That
Neither
too,
were comedians
for
for the most part.
Yes.
Like, it was like Kevin Smith and Mark Maron, who's ending his fucking
Mark
show.
Maron, that fucking cocksucker's trying to steal our thunder because he decides to quit.
Right. He gets put in Deadline and Hollywood Reporter and everything, and no one's going to pick this up.
Our shit isn't going to get picked up at all. Oh, the same thing happened though. I had the first podcast. About halfway through, there was kind of a change there was a total change in hosts. And then I got to the 5th year and I was like, I think I'm done. I'm just, this grind is killing me.
You get like the 5-year itch.
Yeah, kind of. Took about a year off, did some guesting, but nothing else. Started back up in earnest with this show and with, Cole. Shout out to Cole, by the way, who was a host for the first half of the show, I think. So roughly about
that.
Half.
Yeah.
And then, he had to leave. And then
pretty much the same reasons you're giving now. Kids got older. He got busy. You know.
I thought he got canceled.
No, you didn't. You tried.
And then I just got to the point again where it's just like the thought of having to pull the show together and do all this stuff. Again, it's not, it can be as easy or as hard as you want it to be as far as how much prep and work you put into it. And I just never felt like I wanted to just half-ass everything. As much as it's a goofy conversation we have, I still want to go out there and find stuff that's interesting to talk about. So it takes up time,
Yep.
And so in the end, I just got to a point where I was like, at a minimum, I need a healthy break here to just like kind of.
Yeah, because like if your passion's died for it a little bit, I get it. Like I've had the easy role in this show. Like I've always done all the work in the show running and putting everything together.
Yeah, you know what that's like.
Get the host together. Yeah, I do. So I can empathize, sympathize with you. I see where you're coming from. I lost it a couple of years ago. Like one of the reasons that I've been podcasting when I'm not doing my shows is because this one has been easy to come on the mic and just be the fuckery guy, like. And I've told you before, if you need me to pick up stuff, I will. But this has more been your baby than anything, and I'm good with that. I do hope that you take a rest and you want to come back in some way or another. Whether we do this Star Wars podcast when the movies come out or the show, or you want to cover something, I'll do it. Or if we decide let's do something else, I have a good time podcasting with you. But I get, like, if you don't have it, then it just becomes work, and that's not fun.
Yeah, I think, I've thought about all sorts of different scenarios. Like I thought about, even though they didn't exactly burn the internet on fire, like the FACPA story stuff is kind of fun to put together. Even though I'm not doing the writing, you're doing a lot of the writing, but just pulling those stories together is fun. It's the weekly show of like, okay, I got to pull together. What's the news this week? What's the question of the week? What's this? What's that? What are we going to, and just like laying all that stuff out. Sometimes it feels a little monotonous, even though I enjoy the conversation with you. That's the best part. The easiest part is doing the talking.
I agree, especially like we're at the point now where we've covered like all the shows, we've covered all the movies except for the original trilogy. I think we've covered bits and pieces or pulled something from them to have like a themed conversation for. But they're really at this point, we either go into books or comics, or we write our own stories and cover those. So we are kind of at what do we do? Like to find more ideas for episodes, we were gonna like cover these arcs and then go back and do a real detailed analysis of each episode to give us 12 more episodes, but I think we've covered them enough, and you're right. Like who hasn't had something to say or cover these? And I would say the originality that's going to come from us is just where our humor is, or the way we poke fun at something or anything. And like it doesn't seem like there are listeners chomping at the bit to fucking, where's our episode of FACPA, which is a bummer.
It is a bummer. And I think, for as modest of a following as we have, I do want to shout out all the people who've listened to us over the years, because we've always had really great interaction. I know a lot of people who have had podcasts with, thousands of downloads and hardly hear a fucking word.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
But then you also, but that for us, it seemed like we had found enough listeners, enough ears that really kind of had some sort of draw to us and liked, bantering with us. And so that is something that just, I always appreciated.
And, I do want to say, I've had podcasts, like my podcasting 101 would be thousands of downloads the first day I dropped an episode. Wow. And I'd see thousands go across. Like it was insane. But I rarely would someone reach out or send an email or like that. The fucking Twitter, never did anyone tweet but like 7 Days a Geek, it had a decent sized audience. TLPS had a good sized audience for back in the day in 2009, but always had like people who listened and commentated or became part of it. And FACPA was very much like that. But I think, and you had that with Reasons Are Several.
Yeah.
Both before Neil joined and after Neil joined, you had a lot of people, and we've had a lot of crossover listeners. I think that's
for
been,
sure. Mm-hmm.
We've had a few that have crossed over into FACPA. Not all of them were Star Wars so you don't carry them over.
Right.
But
and even, I do the music podcast with Chris as well, our liner notes.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to do that. Chris is so busy. I'm so busy. We put out one episode in the last year, and I told him, I was like, maybe do we need to just put that one to bed? And he's like, I'm not quite ready to put that one to bed, but we'll talk about it later. So
right.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where I've had the passion. I had that same situation happen. I burnt out. I took a break, and then I was like, you know what? I want to fucking do it again. So maybe it'll come back around again. But for the time being, I just started thinking, God, I think I just need a break. I just need to do other shit for a while and not, maybe it's a young person's game, and I'm just getting too old, Jay.
Well, we can come back with wiki what?
There you go. Oh God, as a full show, that'd be tough.
Oh boy.
But yes, I will say, if any shows want to have us as guests or something, I would still certainly do that. I'm not going to I'm not going to go full Grant and sell all my gear.
Oh, good. I would hate to see that because I like to listen to you podcasts. So I'm glad that you're saying that.
Yeah. So I'll keep the gear. I would do some guest stuff here and there. If there's some one-off stuff we want to do at some point, great. I just, in general, trying to do a regular show it just seems very daunting at the moment. So, but yeah, thanks to all the people who've listened to the show. Thanks to all the guests we've had on. We've had on some really awesome guests. And just, mostly, thanks to Cole, of course, for starting the show with us. And then, of course, thanks to you just for showing up every week, because you got a lot of shit going on. You got a lot of kids, you got a lot of podcasts, you got a lot of work stuff going on. Your work schedule is pretty brutal. So for you to always make time to do this, I really appreciated that.
I fucking love it. Yeah.
So, maybe we'll return someday in some other form.
All right. You heard it here, listeners. So what we always end with, and I'm just going to leave it open like that. So thank you for listening. And until next time.
Laugh it up, Fuzzballs.
Matt has spoken.